Getting back into a career after a long break is a difficult task for most of us. I am someone who took a break of about 3 years after my first baby was born. So I really know how difficult and daunting this task can be. Today, by God's grace, I am a project manager at one of the leading IT companies in the world. But this journey was not easy, and it was not at all an overnight one. I had to face a lot of rejections, I had to go through a lot of ups and downs before I reached here. So I really hope whatever experiences and learnings I have had will help you in your journey so that you don't wind up making the same mistakes I did. You need to let go of your ego. This is something that might be a little difficult, but you definitely need to do it. The reason? Simple. You've had to take a break while the rest of your peers and maybe even your subordinates have moved on in their careers and reached positions that are way above you, probably. You might go into a career or a job and realize that somebody who is much younger than you or somebody who worked as your colleague or your subordinate is now someone you have to report into. Walk into a job knowing that this is a scenario that is most likely going to happen. I would say this is not a big deal, but the problem is that we make it into a big deal. So I remember I had a friend who was going through a similar journey at that point in time, and she wouldn't apply to many companies or many jobs just because she knew that her peer or her subordinate from her earlier job is now at a bigger position over there. No, it doesn't look good when I go and I report into her or, even run into her or him over there. So you can't be thinking like that. I, in fact, rejoined the company that I had taken a break from. I had other offers as well. The only reason why I'm telling you that is because you shouldn't think that your only option is to rejoin the company that you took a break from. That is not true. You will, God willing, you will get a lot of other options as well. But I finally decided to take that job offer because that was the most interesting role for me. And they also knew my track record, my work ethics, whatever it is. So that was why they took me on after a whole round of, the whole interviews and discussions and all of that. I had to go through all of that before I was hired back in. But imagine that I'm going back into a company and a job where I know for sure that most of the people over there have moved on while I have not really done that in my career. You don't need to stress about it. Just realize that your life and you took a detour, went into another lane, took an exit from there, went into another lane, and now you've come back onto that same road. The others have moved on and are at a different position. You don't have to think of it as overtaking you or you being under them or anything of that sort. You are just at two different points on that road. That's it. Don't restrict yourself from applying to any job, even if you don't qualify for it. The reason why I'm saying this is, most of the cases what we do, at least I know that is true for me, and one of my friends who is also a HR recruiter was telling me that most women especially have this problem. When we look at a job posting or anything on Naukri, LinkedIn, wherever it might be, our first instinct is to look for the red lights. Is there something that is asked over there which I don't have? So in the must-have section, they might have asked for things like, okay, this person needs to know so-and-so tool, so-and-so domain, so-and-so many years of experience. There might be many things which you don't match. So typically, what I used to do initially was that I wouldn't even apply for it because they have asked for these things and that too in the must-have section and I don't have them. So it stands to reason that I can't really apply over there, right? This was my thinking. But after I had a chat with this friend of mine where she told me that, men typically don't have this hesitation. They usually just go ahead and apply for many jobs, even if they match only 10 to 20% of what is being asked for. Whereas women will wait and, until 80-85% at least matches. These numbers are just, out in the air, nothing researched or anything of that sort. So please don't call me out on that. But you get what I'm saying. We have a tendency to always try and follow the rules. But don't do that while you're job hunting. Many times, what happens? These job postings are more like those matrimonial ads. They'll have all the idealistic requirements out there. But the truth would be that they can't get somebody who is matching all of that in the market. I'm not saying it is not possible, but most of the times what happens is that at the time that they are looking for, they might not get a person like that. And they might be desperate enough for a person who has at least some of those qualities that they're looking for, that they'll be willing to train us on that. I've had very difficult situations also where I've gone in for an interview and that person has actually called up the HR person in front of me and blasted her for having arranged an interview with me, who doesn't qualify in any way for whatever he has asked for. But the HR person also made him understand in that call and then later in person as well while I was there, that the requirements that he had asked for, they had been searching for such a person for months now. And the project is getting into a really tough situation where they need that someone to do that work, but they don't have a person who matches all of these. So they were saying you have mostly two options. Either you do all the work, you and your team do all the work by yourself, or you get a person who might not have all those qualities, but if you can train and if she is willing to learn, why don't you give it a chance? And I actually got a job in one of those, scenarios. I'm not saying it happens every time, but at least once in a while we do get. And if nothing else, we'll at least get ourselves an interview call. What is the harm? You're just asking for a job. They can't sue you for it. If you don't qualify, if they don't feel that they want to take you, they'll not take you, that's all. So don't feel hesitant about breaking those rules at least. If you have a hobby or an interest that's something that is very unique and very interesting, don't forget to put it on your CV. The reason why I'm saying this is, initially in my resumes, I never used to put down the fact that I'm a blogger. Yeah, I have a blog called acapella.com, which I had created at that point in time when I had taken a break. That blog dealt with parenting and lifestyle. So I had put in that name, the name of my blog on my resume. And when I put it over there, I never thought that anybody would actually go and look it up, Or maybe if they look it up also, they'll just see if it exists. That's about it. But I didn't actually expect them to go and check it out. You know what happened when I went in for the interviews? Almost every single interview, wherever I went in, all of them said that they had seen my blog. Now, this is not because my blog is some big thing which they had already seen and they were familiar with before they saw my resume. Nothing like that. They saw that name on the resume and they actually looked it up. Now, the advantage that it gave me was that they could figure out how my communication skills were, what my thought processes were, how, what all things I was involved in, whether I'm a quick learner. There are certain impressions, certain assessments they make based on even such minute things as a blog. So if you have something to flaunt, please go ahead and flaunt it. As Steve Jobs said, you can only connect dots backwards, never forward. When I went into all of these different pursuits during my break period, like I said, I've already forayed into anchoring, voiceovers, then a little bit of acting for nothing, no movies or anything like that, just corporate ads and things like that. Blogging, so many different things that I had forayed into. Marketing. I never thought that these things would help me in my current job, which was, earlier I was a business analyst in the IT company that I was talking about. And now I play a dual role of a business analyst or a BA and a project manager. I never imagined that in an IT company, I would have any use of these skills. I mean, skills, yes, but not directly. For example, I never expected that my voiceover skills would come in handy or acting skills would come in handy, nothing like that. But what happened is that we had a project where we needed to put together a video for one of the conferences that we had. And for that, I had to do a video, I had to give a voiceover, and we did it. And it gave me a lot of mileage in my role at that point in time, which was a great boost for me because I had joined back after such a long break, and then to be able to use all of that was a really great feeling for me. And then even later, I had many times in my career where these skills helped me out in one way or the other. So if you ever see an opening or an opportunity where you can plug in those skills of yours, always step up, always tell that to your manager or whoever it is. And I'm sure that you will be able to use that to your advantage for your career growth. And this attitude you should have even while you're going in for your interview. You've not been able to do anything else. You've been at home and you've blogged, or you've been at home and you've been basically managing your family and your kids and all. There are skills in each one of those activities you've done. which you can use in your career. Only thing is, you need a flexible mind to figure out how you can plug those things in. And one last thing I would like to tell you is that, if possible, before you go into your career again, try and see if for a few months at least you can do some work. It can be at a voluntary level. Like, you don't have to be paid for it or anything. There are so many NGOs, so many places where they need people to actually help them with management, with teaching, with other stuff. You can step up to one of those places. You can start doing work over there. The advantage is that it'll again put you back into the grind. It looks good on your CV. It starts to get you into that groove of, working again, and that it's a different mind space altogether, right? From being at home with your child, or whatever reason might have been for your career break. Or it could be even a career change, I don't know. But if, say for example, if you want a career change and you are trying to move into a different career path, see if you can intern somewhere free of cost, or if you can do some work part-time, when your child is in school, or when your time permits, whatever it might be. And these things can show up as your experience on your resume. And there's nothing that's better than that. I know the situation right now is not easy. With the COVID situation in India, everybody is struggling. And this might make you feel even more lethargic and depressed. But please don't lose heart. I'm sure you'll do great. Once you start applying for jobs, it might take time, but you'll definitely start getting calls. You will definitely start, going for interviews. You will land a job that you like. As long as you are willing to learn, as long as you are willing to do whatever needs to be done, I'm sure nothing can stop you. Right now, the situation is not good, I know, but we will prevail. Until we see you again, stay safe.